Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Now you won't know, well you will when I tell you, this is take two. I've already filmed this tree and outlined the plans and everything like that, and halfway through the video I changed my mind and it made the video far too long. And all of the words and thoughts that went into it before I changed my mind are now irrelevant, because that's not what's going to happen. So I thought I'm going to start again. And we'll just stick to the point. What, Roger? Stick to the point? There's a novelty. Right, so this was bought as a potential triple trunk. That was the person who planted its idea. So they were planted close together with the idea of inevitably fusing. I think they're a bit too far apart to do that. And you also had the tallest, the medium, and the smallest, and the thinnest. Yeah, so that was the basic idea that somebody else had. And I bought it because I didn't have any Trident Maples. And to me, a bonsai collection needs a Trident Maple. Now, the previous video that I've scrapped was based on working out where to do the trunk chops. And I don't particularly like abrupt trunk chops. This little one here has had a trunk chop there, and the branch that was selected as the new leader is not a lot thinner than the trunk below it. So you sort of almost think, well, was it worth bothering with? Well, sort of yes, if you view it from the other side. Right, so I got part way through working out where to do a trunk chop, not given many branches, but then this was a good one. And then I moved up the tree and I thought, what a waste. Up here we have movement in the trunk from where it was chopped before. Yeah? So this tree is actually quite nice up the top. It's got a good selection of branches and it's got air layer written all over it. So rather than trunk chop it down here, where the first suitable branch would be, I'm going to air layer it up here, somewhere around here. And this will make a lovely Trident Maple. A bit of movement. God, there are an awful lot of spiders in this thing. They're not my favourite creatures, but ones that size get to live. Yeah, it's got some movement. It's got a lot of branches to be able to select from. It's grown strongly at the top, so the movement up and down the trunk from the roots is going to be quite active, which encourages me to think that the air layer should work. Downside, cons with an air layer: if you air layer the main trunk and it fails, you've lost the top of the tree. So I end up writing all this off. If it works, I end up with a nice tree. And hopefully the start of a nabari at the base, because I get to put those roots where I want when I plant it up. So that's what's happening to that one. The middle one I looked at and I thought, well, there's no point in trying to air layer that. The top of the tree is not that special. It's had a horrible trunk chop up there. Another one not far below it with a big scar. So what do we do with that one then? Well, what we do with that one is we come down here. That's the only reasonable shoot, and there's another little one there below it and possibly another one there. So if I do a trunk chop there, I force this tree to prepare a new leader. Now that's a bit skinny. The change between this trunk and that new leader will be abrupt, and it will take many years before that fades and looks natural. But if you come up higher, it will probably take even longer. Once the air layer is done on this one, then we can come back down to the original idea and do a trunk chop here. Yeah? And by doing the air layer, chances are the tree's going to put a bit more energy into these lower branches. Theory. May not happen. The little one, it's difficult to know what to do with that. But I think what I'm going to do with that is trunk chop this one right down here. There are some little shoots, so there'll still be some green on the trunk, and see what that one does. So trunk chop, air layer, followed by trunk chop probably next year if the air layer well, when the air layer's taken off. Whether it works or not is a separate issue. It's going to come off one way or the other, isn't it? You can't just leave it there. So that's what's going to happen. That's a total change of plan. The original plan was to come out now and do 3 trunk chops, but it's now going to be 2 and an air layer. So that's the talky bit. Let's get the trunk chops done, and then we'll have a think about the air layer. But before I do any of that, I need a coffee. I need some thinking juice. I'll be back. Well, I've changed my mind more today than I would do in a flipping year, I think. Anyway, basically, the initial idea of the 2 trunk chops actually stands. So this first branch here is the only reasonable branch on this tree. That one's not very good. And then we've got to get right up here before we get to any. So although that's far more abrupt than I like, I'm not that keen, I must admit. You don't ever see a tree, a natural looking tree, that goes like that and then does that. That just doesn't happen. And it's, you know, a lifetime to get that to disappear. So I'm taking that off. I'm hoping these secateurs will do this, one way or the other. That's funny, I thought Trident was relatively soft wood. I have to twist these to get it to cut. It's getting there. Get up the ends of the handles where I've got more leverage. I'm going to have to take it out of the cut and put it back in because it's got to the tip and the leverage isn't there. So, I don't know, it just seems such a waste of a tree, but it wouldn't, you know, it would have made a nice garden tree like that. See, there's another choice wasted now. The cut's been done, the decision's been made. Not that we shot through yet, there we go. Yeah, now you can see it a bit better. I don't think that would have been that elegant, really, as an air layer. And I don't want a dozen Tridents, you know. This is the thing, there seems to be people get into a must have more trees and take every opportunity to get another tree. I don't want 6 Trident Maples. I'd be happy with one nice one. That's my way of looking. I like the idea of one good one. Right, so that's that one. I will tidy that up a bit, which is going to be difficult to do with this one next to it, but we just need to dig in a bit and hollow this out. The reason being that obviously it will heel over. This is almost impossible to do because this trunk's in the way. So I think I might leave it for now and tidy it up at another point in time. Now this one, we've got 2 little shoots down here and that's it. So I'm coming off above those 2 little shoots, and I won't worry about, I will make sure that the trunk chop faces away from the top of those two shoots, so that it potentially, if it grows well, it does become the leader. I just need to get it out of the way so that I don't cut it off. So about there. Right, so that's got those 2 out of the way. Looks quite pitiful now, doesn't it? So we've got a little Trident here with 2 little shoots on and a trunk chop. Now that one I will be able to tidy because I haven't got anything in the way, so we can just niggle that out a bit just so that it's slightly hollow. The reason being, it will heel over better if it's got a hollow. The bark will close over it and make it less of an obvious scar. So you try and leave the bark around the outside of the circle and just niggle at the white wood in between, carefully, just to hollow it out a bit. There we go. I can't get out this one to do it though. I just can't get there. Now, I could do with a bigger one of these. There is the next size up, I do believe, knob cutter, because this is quite a small one. It's razor sharp, but you have to be able to get the purchase on it, the leverage. Right, so that's those two done. We will seal those over. So we put our cut paste on there, keep out infections and the like, and help with the healing process. This stuff does help the bark close over. There's hormones in it, I think, or something. Anyway, it certainly helps. So that's those two done. And the only thing I've got to wipe my finger on is leaves. They do the job. Right, so that's those two done. They're going to, all three of these are going to be left in this pot. What I will now do is put some feed on, so that as I water, there's some good feed getting into here to promote growth. The feed I use is it Kunaru? Something like that it's called. It's like little granules of slow release feed, and they are quite small, which is useful because they poke in easily and don't wash off. And it's a very low level feed. I think it's 555, but that's what I use anyway. Right, now this one, changed my mind from a trunk chop here, using this as the new leader, to actually an air layer up here. And I believe that the air layer warrants its own video. So I'm going to end this video here. So next year the plan is this will get repotted. When it gets repotted, we will think about the air layer will be gone, and it will have either worked or not by the end of this year, obviously. And what will be left is this. Now, probably too late in the year to do that trunk chop and make it as effective as if it was left to the following year. The result of the air layer will start these lower branches growing faster, thicker. You know, they will push on because they've lost their apex basically because of the air layer. So I'm not going to make the decision to trunk chop this until I've seen what happens with the rest of the growing season. Trident Maples apparently air layer quite quickly, so they will still have some growing season left. We'll see what happens. So no decision on this apart from doing the air layer. So there we go, and we'll see what we get. And as I said, this is destined to become a separate little tree. I've now given up on the idea of a twin trunk, I believe, and we will have separate trees. Whether I keep them all or not remains to be seen. They might end up being passed on to other people. This is the top of this tree is the bit I am most interested in, because it's the one I think that will make a nice looking trident quickest by being an air layer. So I'll do the air layer as a separate video. That will be coming up, well, I'm going to film it now, but I'll post it at some later date. So thanks for dropping by. If you're not subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. And don't forget the old it all helps the channel grow, slowly but surely. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.